Hello, welcome to the MinkLife Motivation Live. We're here today with amazing speakers to answer amazing questions. And today we're going to talk about, are you struggling with creativities? So let's get the show started to answer those questions. Hello, welcome, lady. I'm here with Aveline and Amy to answer amazing question and to give you insight about doing, everything about life and relationship. So don't forget to leave your comment in the chat also. So let's get started with the first question. Why are you passionate about helping people with romantic partnership using your zone of genius? So let's get started with Aveline.
Thank you, Denise. What an interesting question. This has come up randomly, not that I've sorted out when I've worked one-on-one with my customers, and certainly also in the group scenario with my community. But what I found is that if people don't have that connection in their personal life, there's often a block that they come to their work life with. And honestly, I've also worked with partners in business. And the first thing is actually getting them aligned before they can actually produce creativity in their business. What for me is so important is if we don't have, first of all, the relationship with ourselves, then the relationship with our intimate partner or our romantic partner, we can't bring our full creativity and our genius and our joy into our work. We know that creativity is blocked when we have high levels of fear and stress. And where's the first place that starts? Often it starts in the romantic relationship. And we've all experienced that. So for me, it's all about getting really clear and centered and within oneself first. What I always like to do is when I talk to my clients and they say that they might be having this block or a wall with that relationship, or the partner doesn't like what they're doing or they don't understand them, it often comes down to a lack of understanding. And this is where the conflict or the stress arises. So learning to be understood and how to listen and understand the other is so critical. We talk about emotional intelligence in the business world, and yet we don't need to put fancy labels on this. It's really around learning to understand the other person. We'll create greater connections in our relationships the more we can learn to be open and listen to them and understand, and have that reciprocity of understanding as well.
Wow, this is pretty good because it all starts with the self, doesn't it? Like if you want whatever you want to have in your life, you got to start with yourself. And I totally agree with that. So thank you so much, Evelyn. I like that. We need to talk. So let's have Amy next. So why are you passionate about helping people with romantic partnership using your zone of genius?
Well, most of my clients are single and seeking partnerships. So the creativity comes about how they go about meeting Mr. or Mrs. Right. And so it's really interesting to see how creativity comes into play. First, it's really about, again, just like I heard Aveline say, it's knowing yourself and knowing your values. And I go deeply into values to help my clients understand what they need to connect with the right person, but then being creative about how to find this person. And so I help my clients look at all the possible ways to meet people. And so people, meet the traditional, now the traditional way is online. So over 80% of my successfully coupled clients have met through online dating. So they have to be creative about their profiles and creative about how they put themselves out there. So what happens is really helping my clients really see themselves and understand what they need in terms of feeling good about themselves and confident about themselves, about putting themselves out there. And so we have people who are very introverted and they say, I don't even know what to say on a date. So the creativity comes about really navigating for each person and giving them the tools and the confidence and the ability to go out there and meet, the right person, and then recognizing it when they do meet that person. So it's really fun the way I, help my clients and get them going and have them explore what's possible. And that's what I do. Yeah.
Oh, that's pretty cool. Like creativity, and don't take life too seriously, right? Just have play and game and have fun
Try
in
different things.
the
Yeah.
the dating game, right? Not the gaming date, but the game.
I don't like to think of it as a game, but it's a journey.
Yes, of course, of course. And now we have Leslie that joined us. I'm so happy to have Leslie here. So Leslie, why are you passionate about helping people with romantic partnership using your zone of genius?
I think it's got a lot to do with connection. Everything has got to do with connection, and the deeper the connection, the better it goes. When we are dealing with romantic partnerships, the area of balance can be like a seesaw. So if we don't have the connection and understand how we can get the seesaw to be balanced and just a little bit here, a little bit there, it can upset things. So I love to see that people who are in romantic relationships are actually working that seesaw and understanding that there's give and take, but actually the fulcrum is the communication between the two. That's why I think that when I'm using what I use in my work, it's got to do with understanding what language they're using. And as we know, there are many languages of love, and we don't always speak the same ones, even when we're in the same relationship.
Yeah, thank you so much, Leslie. That was pretty amazing. Yeah, we need to consider we're all in it together. Like it's not just one person here and one person there. And then that being in understanding that we work at it together, I think it's super important. So thank you so much, ladies. And now the next, Monica said this conversation is already amazing. It's amazing already. So yes, of course, we have all these experts in here. That's super cool. So why is emotional intimacy important for professional to thrive in your life and business? So I will start with Amy this time.
Oh, well, I've got this question. Why is emotional intimacy? So understanding what it takes to be emotionally intimate and thriving. So, there's the personal part for me, and I am married. I've been married for 20 years, and this is my second marriage. So really working on the marriage, and also, working with my other people in my life, but also teaching my clients how to be in an intimate relationship and what communication tools they need in order to do so is important too. And some of my clients are in business for themselves. So, they also have to be able to communicate to other people in their life, whether it be their kids or their parents or siblings and things like that. So the values work that I do and teaching how to communicate your values in a way that people are going to understand what's important to you, in a way that they're going to want to receive that and work with you is part of the coaching. And once they learn this technique, it opens up a whole new way to communicate with people, and they set better boundaries for themselves as well. And that's what I find is helping them really feel good and be able to open up, but also be able to understand what they need to feel safe.
Yeah, having safe boundaries and being able to have a very, very understanding conversation and not feeling that you'll be judged or that you'll be pushed aside or anything like that. Like feeling safe in a relationship is the number one key. Absolutely. So now, Leslie, I'll go with you. So why is emotional intimacy important for professional to thrive in the life and business?
You have to know yourself. You have to actually be knowing and intimate with yourself, with all of your feelings and all of the ways that you are in the world with the other person. Until you do that, you can't really be intimate with them. And they must also see that vulnerability as a strength and give them all of your power. They give you all of theirs. It's important for that because the trust factor is really paramount. We don't go out of our ways to hurt people, but sometimes we're just not thinking about it, and offhand remarks can be made. And those little pains can go deep and they lie there. And if they're not discussed, if you're not sure of the intimacy, if you're not sure of the connection between the two of you, then they can become little pustules that are going to make something really nasty if you don't look at it. And this intimacy is the allowance of someone to come in your space and understanding that you know how you are feeling and they will know how they are feeling. Meeting the two together, that bond will create a space, a safe psychological and emotional space where everything is laid out and able to be seen and heard and felt without rancor for the most part. And also knowing that this intimacy is there and the trust that's involved, there's a big, big thing about not using that against each other. So there's a lot of bargaining tools, there's a lot of communications. Again, it's got everything to do with being human, being.
Wow, thank you so much. Absolutely. And understanding that the person in front of you also have feelings. You know, you might be getting hurt, and often what I've heard with relationship is we always think just about ourselves. We have the mirror in our face and we only see ourselves as being hurt or offended or anything like that. But then when you understand that maybe the other person also is being hurt in their own way, that makes a big difference. Perfect. So now, Evelyn,
Yeah, thank you,
why
Denise.
is emotional intimacy important for professional to thrive in the life and professional and business?
First of all, I love everything Amy and Leslie just said. And I was nodding along and smiling because even though what we're talking about, I think, and what many people might be sort of listening and thinking about as they heard Amy speak, being a marriage coach, and then Leslie speak was the romantic relationship or that intimate relationship. Well, what I want to then expand is imagine that in a business context. Imagine having conversations with people in your network, your customers, where you're able to apply that vulnerability and that intimacy of self to your conversations. And I want to share that in the last couple of years, in the work that I've done and just creating the opportunity for connections with a lot of people around the work in my business, I found that there's been these moments where organically we were brought together, we're on Zoom, we're all around the world, and people were sharing stories. And sharing stories is a lovely way to be vulnerable, and to connect with others then in the exchange. And it was the most powerful thing. And over a period of about 6 months, about 10 people shared their stories, and it opened up, I feel like, barriers or walls between us, because when we come to business, we've been taught that, business is tough and we've got to be like, whatever paradigm or whatever model or role or structure that we've grown up to believe we need to be like. And until we unlearn that, we stay in these set structures and rigidity. The emotional intimacy is not just for our romantic partner or ourselves. It's for all our relationships. And what I've seen and experienced myself is the more that I am vulnerable to my customers and to my network and my colleagues, and I'm really open, the more that connection is strong, and it's just amazing. It's like, this is when magic actually happens, because people go, oh, thank God, I can be myself. Oh my gosh, you feel that? Oh, wow, you went through that. And all of a sudden, all these new connections and pathways and memories and everything is made with this person. And life becomes so much more enjoyable, meaningful. And this is in the workspace, right? So this is what I've been experiencing in the last mainly 12 months, but it's grown. I think since the COVID, and since, my business changed and I created a community and people started coming together, that's what's happened. And it's really beautiful when that happens. And I really want to encourage people, if they haven't yet thought about the way that they connect with their work colleagues and customers, do it. I highly recommend, just be open. Just be open and allow yourself to be real, because that is emotional intimacy in the workplace, and it does change everything.
I appreciate that, Amy, that you brought in, like, in the business aspect, and how to be open with people that we do business with. And we have a comment from Monica that says, Evelyn is so right. The person we are in our relationship is exactly how we show up in the world. And I totally agree with that. And also, you brought a point about being authentic and not being afraid to be vulnerable. And I was taking a course years back about speaking from stage, right? And the person was saying, it's okay, share stories, share who you are, cry if you have to from stage. In a sense, like, if you say a sad story, don't be afraid to show that you have weakness, quote unquote, and that, people will relate with you so much more when you open yourself up, and when you share your own experience, and when you share, like, the human that you are. If you're perfect, and if you're always walking straight and everything is perfect in your life as an appearance, then people would say, oh, I could never live up to what she's doing. I can't, but when you're human, people say, oh, me too. I feel like that sometime. And then you have better connection. And that's pretty much what we all said in some way or another. And I think it's so important. So thank you, ladies. I felt that, this question was well covered, and we could expand on that forever too. So now let's stay inspired. How has emotional intimacy been a problem for you in the past, and how did you overcome it? And I will start with Leslie this time.
Oh my goodness. For a long time, I was not a people person. People were scary. You didn't give them anything at all. And that's why I went to work with animals. Animals are very straightforward. They know exactly who you are. And if they don't like you, they will tell you right away. You have no doubt at all about what's going on there. However, I was doing the surgical stuff. I was looking after them. I was making them better, doing things for them, and trying very hard not to talk to the clients at all. They were kind of an unfortunate appendages to the lead and the cat basket. And it was, I'm here for the doggies and the cats. That's, that's my job. I like this. This is where I can be emotionally vulnerable.
Yeah.
With 4 legs and fur. I can't do it with you because I don't trust you to lie to me, to be nasty to me, to use me. Then I got a dog myself. We call them occupational hazard. And a nurse who used to work with me, she came with it stuffed up her cardigan, and she put him on the dental table, and she said, this boy needs a home. And I said, no, I'm here like 25 hours a day. I can't have it. This isn't fair. However, I said I would foster him for a couple of weeks. I had him for 9 years. And this dog, because you have to walk a dog, you have to go and you have to talk to people who walk their dogs. And then something shifted. I actually managed through this dog to come into the world again,
Wow.
to actually become easier speaking with people. I made friends. I made very good friends. I still have them now. And Gussie's been gone since 2006. And it opened up a whole new vista for me. And actually, quite possibly, if it hadn't been for Gussie, I wouldn't be married now.
Hmm.
Because that kind of snuck up on me too. Nobody brought Andrew and put him onto the dental table and said,
You got to take care of him for a couple of weeks.
you know. But he did come to one of my workshops and I kept him. So there is a kind of thing going on there. But it's one of those things that a lot of it has got to do with the way that it's put. How, if you're on guard all the time, if you're doing your Rottweiler impersonation all the time, it's very hard for anyone to get past that. And one of the vets caught me talking to an animal once and he said, "Oh, I knew you were human." And I didn't even look at him and I said, "You don't have 4 legs and fur. I wouldn't bet my life on it if I were you." That's how hard it was for me to open up.
Yeah.
But since I got my own dog and he brought me out of myself, because I had to see him not as a patient, but as a companion, as a being. And that opened me up to a whole load of other things. And I ended up getting married because I kept one of my people.
There we go. That's an amazing story. Thank you so much, Leslie, for sharing. It's I hear you. Anyway, I'll get to my story later, but I totally hear you for sure. So let's get to who we're gonna go next. Evelyn, how has emotional intimacy been a problem for you in the past, and how did you overcome it?
Oh my gosh. Now that is a loaded question. It's when I saw that, I'm like, oh, I hope she doesn't say me first. But it's like, well, how long have we got really? No. So in a nutshell, I don't have a great story like Leslie, and I could have gone down a career path of dealing with animals because people were just too hard. But I will say that I went through a couple of decades as an adult of a lot of, coming up against walls, in that I wasn't ready or trusting or willing to let down my guard. I was heavily guarded in like the biggest guard walls that I think I'd ever seen in another person, because I was so hurt from my childhood. And I just wasn't willing to drop them. I looked for ways to get around having to drop them. And I was kind of clever, but that never served me. And I think it came to a point in my life where my daughter was born, and like Leslie, I had to interact with others, but I also had to be responsible, and I then found another pathway to being open and joyful, and that was through her. And she was a ray of sunshine. She was this little beautiful being who was so joyful and happy, and she was spirited. And she'd go out to the dog parks and talk to all of the dog owners because she loved animals so much. And as a 5-6-year-old, and I didn't want to talk to anybody. And she'd go out and she'd meet all these people and ask if she could walk their dogs. And so she was this really outgoing little girl, and it forced me to then open up as well. And that's just one little example of how she brought that in. But that's what it was, because she was so spirited and trusting of the world, whereas I wasn't. And through her, I took those steps, I guess. And then the rest is history. There's been lots of little adjustments since then. But I love the animal analogy. And that just reminded me then of my daughter meeting all these dog owners and asking if she can walk them. And then the dog owners coming over to talk to me. "Oh, your daughter's so amazing." And just realizing that, I have got a story, I have got something of value, and it's not just a skill or a technical trade in the workplace that is of value. I'm of value. And that took time to work on and accept within myself.
Wow, thank you so much, Evelyn. It's funny because you're answering that question. So I don't have an answer like Leslie, but really you did. I think that story with your child, and your child was the dog of Evelyn, right? Like she's the one that really forced you to come out, because when they're in the park, well, what do parents do? They talk with one another, and she went and touch all of them, and that allow you to, open up a little bit more and start trusting. So it's pretty amazing. Thank you so much for sharing that story. You see, just by sharing that intimate story, it allowed me to get to know you more and like you more. And I think that's super great. Thank you so much. Now let's go with Amy, the last but not the least.
Right. Yeah. So I was a very high achiever. I have an MBA. I went to a company. I got married at 25. We were like, and I really cared about how I looked and how people thought about me. I mean, I still have the image thing going, right? So, and then what happened in my mid 30s? Well, I had a women's clothing boutique. And actually, I don't know if you guys like deal with Myers-Briggs, but I'm extroverted. I like people, but I didn't really get to know them that well. It's like very surfacey, that I get to know people. I had my clients in my store. I actually owned a women's clothing boutique, and I would come in. I opened it when I was 30, and I would come into the store. And I would like go straight for the back because I knew I had to do the work, right? I had things to get done, and I had salespeople, and I had and I would, and then one day, one of the salesperson, you just walk in and you don't even say hello to us, and I'm like, oh yeah, hi. So, I wasn't even aware. I was so unaware of how I was being. And that's the thing. I grew up in a doing kind of world. I'm from New York, and everyone's rushing around and we're all doing stuff. And it wasn't until I got divorced in my marriage fell apart, and I didn't understand why. We didn't have communication. And he just we were just the wrong fit for each other also. And so I had to rediscover myself, and I had to do the work. And I joined a support group for people going through divorce. I hired a coach to help me when I felt like I was running around in circles, to learn more about myself and how I am in relationship, and really kind of started to get in touch with who I was and what I needed to be happy in a relationship. So, still kind of, and then, having deeper relationships. And then we would talk in these groups about what's going on and how we were feeling. And I'm like, this was a whole new thing for me. I have to be honest.
Yeah.
And so then, the coach training for me was a way for me to get out of my head and more into who I am and how I show up in the world. And so that's kind of how I help my clients today and what they do. So it really is a journey, and it's a journey into understanding. And so, my whole thing is to do the work, that, and I see so people I call unaware, and they just are quite not even aware of how they're being and what they're doing. And that's no fault of their own. It's just, we have to help other people along. They have to be open to seeking that. And I guess, we attract people who are seeking more knowledge, more understanding, and connecting with one another, and seeking, how do I connect better with other people?
Well, thank you so much, Amy. Yeah, I hear you, because being out there and talking to people, but when it's superficial, then it's very shallow, right? You end up with shallow relationship, and not being able to really have a great connection with people. And that's wonderful that you acknowledge that and then change. And that's how you learn. And then you're helping others.
And then I met my husband. Yeah.
Yeah, because you were able to open up.
Yeah,
That's
exactly.
beautiful. That's amazing. And I feel for myself also, like I keep saying that nowadays, like I'm an introverted. And even though like I've changed, COVID changed me in a way, because when I was in a room with 20, 30, 50, 100 people, I would be the one that will end up at the toilet. It was my secure place, go hide in the toilet seat and just stay there for 5 minutes and say, okay, okay, I got to go back now. I gotta go talk to people. And then eventually I couldn't stay there all night. So I would go out and say, okay, I got to go talk to one or two people. And I would work on that. But when COVID came, it allowed me to meet a whole lot of people, to have a lot of one-on-one with people and meeting them just like we are talking now, pretty much. There's four of us, but just like very intimate. And that allowed me to find out that, hey, people want to hear from me. People, like, I felt like people that are not interested in what I do. And like, I felt very like low self-esteem in that sense. But as I got to develop, talking with people and getting different relationship and exploring one-on-one, and now when I'm in a group in person, I'm able to hold my ground and say, okay, let's go and talk to people and immerse myself with other people. But I'm still that little introverted. When I had a 3-day event in person last month, and let me tell you, after the third day, I came home and I hibernate for half a day. I just couldn't. I didn't want to talk to anyone and all that. But I overcame the fact that when I was there, I would talk to people and I would interact and I would be happy to do it. I still need my little space, but hey, sometimes, you need to have your private time for myself anyway. So I think we have one last question, don't we? Yes. And we're just going to stay as we are, and I'll ask who's going to answer. So who should you ask for help when you are trying to increase your emotional awareness of the day? So I would start with Evelyn. You just finished, but I'll get you to come back.
Okay.
So Amy came back, but Evelyn, you're on.
Okay. Wow. So who should you ask to help with emotional awareness? The first thing is I would probably ask yourself. If you haven't done the practices to sit with yourself, maybe meditation or just be very still and tune into yourself, then that's what I'd be doing. Because often when we quieten down this, that the whirly noise and the chatter that goes on in the mind and all the fear that comes in, if we get rid of that and we just sit very still and very present, and sometimes I find just even putting the question out there, I ask the question, right? And I sit and empty the mind and I get really, really quiet and really still, and I can hear my heartbeat. Then the answers just drop in. And then I become far more present and aware. And then I can see from outside of myself, oh, you were reacting. Oh, you were being, this or that, or you were not listening, or you were being judgmental, or you were in a fearful state, right? So then that perspective comes in. And that's the most beautiful and most powerful place, rather than giving your power to another person. I think if you don't have the ability to sit and listen to yourself and tune in and do it yourself, then going to someone who knows you extremely well and who had maybe that intimate partner is the right person to ask.
Yeah.
There's always a danger, though, that they're going to also come from their perspective, and that might not be 100% your reality or what you need to hear, but it's still a great place to start. I think always going to yourself first.
I love that. Thank you so much. Amy.
Yeah, for me, being an extrovert, I like things pulled out of me, and I like to learn from others. So I've always sought other people to help me learn and grow, whether I take a class on emotional intelligence, or whether I work one-on-one. I really like working one-on-one with coaches, and I've been working with coaches for probably 20 plus years now, and everybody has a different perspective. I'm in a coaching group right now to get my continuing education credits, but it does, you learn more about yourself and how you are, and even being in a mastermind like I am right now with some of my business colleagues, it does, I am learning about myself and my edges, and being pushed to go beyond my edges. So for me, I'm not really good at, and actually I've been, that's a new edge for me, to sit and listen, that's, but for me, I interact with somebody. I need somebody to challenge me and push me, or kind of help me open up other perspectives. But that's my way.
Thank you so much, Amy. Appreciate that. And Leslie.
Well, I'm going to go along with Aveline to a certain extent. Yes, definitely go inwards. However, I have a question to ask. How often do we look ourselves in the mirror? When we're doing our ablutions in the morning, we're brushing our teeth, we're not looking into our eyes. We're looking at, oh, I must wash that piece of the sink, or I must do this, or, oh, is that another grey hair? Oh. And you're brushing your teeth and you're not paying attention. You're actually there. You're present for that moment. In that time, what is more intimate than looking into your own eyes and saying, how are we doing? What's going on today? Are we going to need some help today? How did we sleep? And I use it a lot, the exercise of I am loved. But that is also using a mirror of a human being, the person you trust. Could be a very, very good friend, but you must also be in the same space, in the same mindset. So they can't be coming with I'm having such a time and it's like really bad and I'm not really interested in you, but I'm going to do this for you anyway because I'm your friend and I'm supposed to. But you need to be in the space where you look at yourself and then you look at them and your eyes meet and one of you is holding space and just watching your face, watching the changes take place as you repeat the words, I am loved. And those are really strong words, because when we were talking about earlier on about the intimacy and the vulnerability, it's so hard. And this guarding that we have, how dare we say that we are loved? How do we know we are loved? We're supposed to be the ones who are giving the love, are we not? Well, why can't we give the love to us too? We are human beings with hearts and minds and love to give. But when we do that, and I say to my clients, I know you're going to squirm when you do this. I know you're going to be uncomfortable. I know you're going to stand there and say, oh, this is just terrible. I'm just going to give up. This is totally daft. Not interested. I'm out the door. I don't need this. I have things to do, work to go to. And I say to them, stick with it, because you stick with it until you have a significant emotional event. Then you'll know that you've gone over that protective barrier and you've understood you're on the other side and you are in the place of love. So that's who I would ask. And that's my reflection.
I'm speechless. How can I speak after that? Thank you so much, Leslie. It was so beautiful and so right. Absolutely right. I love how you brought it up and brought it home for us. Like it kind of bring everything that what everybody said, but really to the eye. Yeah, mic drop definitely is a significant emotional event. Mrs. Drop the mic, and then. And I go a little bit in the same direction that you talk, and I think can't remember which one I mentioned that, but there's the I, which the one that we always with in any relationship that we have, and then the we, which is the relationship we have with others. And for me, I add the they, which is the relationship we have with everybody else's. But the I is there in all three levels. And if you don't take care of the I, you can't expect the other relationship to go well. And so I love what most of you said, and I love also what Amy said. It's like, yeah, pull it out of me too, and that works too. Sometimes we can't really find these things ourselves, and having someone that would be there and support you, I think that'd be pretty cool. So thank you, lady. That was an amazing answer. So what's next now? Let's see. So one tip. So that's like quick 30-second tip. What is the one tip for calibrating your life by focusing on romantic relationship? And I'll start with Aveline.
Me again. Okay, one
Sorry.
tip for that's okay. I'm just going to give you what I do. Okay, my tip. One tip. In the morning, I ask, how can I show love today to myself and to others? How can I be love?
Thank
That's it.
you. Thank you, Evelyn. Now, Leslie.
Be open as you can. If you wake up in the morning and you're not in a good frame of mind, close your eyes for 2-3 seconds and sit and say, today will be a good day because I said so. And I love to say so and be right.
That's fabulous. And Amy.
Look at how you are putting love in your life, and are you making it a priority, and how you're making those you love a priority, and what you are putting your time and energy towards. And so what needs to shift in order to bring more love into your life?
Thank you. Thank you so much. And for myself, my one tip is increase your capacity of being grateful for everything that you have in your life. Every morning when I wake up, I can't help it. I have my wonderful cats on me, and then already I'm like, oh, I'm so grateful for his presence. I'm so grateful for what he brings me. And then I go on about, I'm so grateful I have a great night's sleep, and go on and on and on. And when you increase your capacity of being grateful for what you have in your life, that brings more good thing into your life. So that's my tip. Thank you so much, lady. That was amazing. Now we have announcement. So every one of us, we can share something we have to announce about what we do. So I'll let the host decide who goes first. Here goes, Amy. What do you have to announce for us?
Well, I just help struggling singles who are looking for life partnerships to find their true love. And I do it through my Motivated to Marry Dating Secrets program. So if you're interested in learning more, connect with me at motivatedtomarry.com.
Wonderful. Thank you so much.
Hello. So I help business owners. So mine's business focus, and I help those business owners to stop being frustrated and wasting money on the marketing that doesn't work, because you want to connect with the right people, and I help them to connect with the right people, and it's a lot of fun. So yeah, connect with me on LinkedIn and we can have a chat and take it from there.
How's your story? Are you telling the right story? Is it yours? Are you walking your own talk? Or are you weaving the thread of your limitations with those words? I'll help you embroider a new story. Come and have a chat.
That's wonderful. Thank you so much, Leslie. And as for myself, as we mentioned, like I'm a serenity expert, and I can help you find out where are those negative thinking coming up in your brain, like the saboteurs that are there and influencing you in one way to the other. The way I describe the saboteurs, it's like you're on a boat in a river without an engine or oars, and all you're being carried one way to the other. And these are your saboteurs manipulating you and making you do things that normally you wouldn't want to do. So by having a talk with me, we can talk about how you can put engine on the back of that boat and take control of your life so that you can rock, your life and shift from crisis to oasis. So thank you so much, everyone. It was such an amazing show. It's like drop mic all at one after the other. It was amazing. Thank you so much. And I invite you to come back for the next time.
Just chime in with a few announcements. For the show, you want to be on, guess what? You can be on the show. Just go to www.minklifemotivation.live, minklifemotivation.live, so that you can join the co-host on the box instead of on the couch. If you have enjoyed today, don't worry, we'll be back. But today, you can go right to any place that you can find podcasts to download past episodes and this episode shortly after today. So go to the favorite place where you have podcasts and look for MinkLife Motivation Live there. Or you can join us next week. We'll be able to help you calibrate your life and maximize your business and build your brand and all that every week. But next week is Yo Elam, and she's going to be walking you through calibrating your life. This has been your announcements for Mingle Online Community. Thank you.
Thank you so much, everyone. And I look forward, thank you all the ladies, and I look forward to see you next time. Say goodbye.
Thank you so much. So lovely.
Thank you.
What
Bye-bye.
fun.